we live, not really live, but you know what I'm saying. So we watching a video, the harsh truth about Dragon Ball's future. It was made by Big Toon. That's right. Now this one was made 9 months ago, and I gotta say, this man was onto something with this freaking video. But I want to know what he said though. I'm curious. So let's get busy.
I think it's time for Dragon Ball to die, and I take no pleasure in saying that. This franchise has brought me and so many others joy for decades. As a collective, Dragon Ball Z, and even Dragon Ball GT stood in rarefied air. But in the last 10 years, there have been so many decisions that have changed how we look at this legendary franchise, and in order to truly understand how it's come to this, we have to go back. Back to November 20th, 1997. After its introduction, this is the very first day where the Dragon Ball franchise didn't have an anime. And this day is also the start of what I call the down years. Now, contrary to how it sounds, I think this period of time was actually the best for the Dragon Ball franchise. It was a period of time where all fans could do was reminisce. If you liked Dragon Ball in any capacity during the down years, all you could do is watch the old stuff and play the games. And the more you go back and watch the old stuff, the more you find appealing about it. Some of the traits that these series have that are objectively negative become part of its charm. And there's one word that describes this process: nostalgia. From 1997 to 2000.
OD, man. My earliest memories of Dragon Ball was a time where my uncle was watching, specials of Dragon Ball, the episode of Dragon Ball. And one of them had something to do with Goku doing that spirit bomb to Majin Buu, Kid Buu, really, at the very end. That was probably the end of, yeah, that was definitely the end. But it wasn't like in the end. Last time I checked, with one more episode after that. And my love for Dragon Ball came into the an aspect of the games itself. When the games pulled up, when I played it, like Budokai 1, bro, ooh, Budokai 1 was amazing. Back in the day. Back in the day. But now, it's, A is like freaking milk. But mainly the games got me into the series. So I liked it ever since. But over time, I'm like, cool action, but give me more. Give me more. You know what I'm saying?
13, nostalgia was Dragon Ball's ride or die. It was the silent co-pilot that kept the franchise alive and relevant even with no anime airing. Let's break down how that happened. When Dragon Ball GT concluded in 1997,
GT,
it left
bro.
fans with a sense of.
So he talking about the fact that it's not the beginning of like the series blowing up in America. He talking about the beginning of like when there was no really new content for the series overall. It would just have GT. But back then, I don't think GT was like considered to be the canon ending of Dragon Ball. It was more or less the idea that what Toei had to continue the series. And looking back on it now, Toyama would have hated like GT Loki, but the way how Diamond came out, that was Toriyama GT. No cap. It's kind of weird though. It's low key. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, bro. Dragon Ball, the canon and everything is just awkward, bro. Especially in movies.
Finality. Even for someone like me who was born well after 1997, I could feel the finality that GT brought. Whether people loved or hated GT, that last episode with Goku riding off with Shenron and the time skip to Goku Jr. felt like the curtain dropping on a legendary era. And for a long time, it was. No new series, no new arcs, just reruns, VHS tapes, and a mountain of merchandise. But that silence, it made people miss Dragon Ball.
That was like something that got me watching Dragon Ball more than I should. When there was no cable going on, when it was broke, bro, when we had no cable going on, it was just me and some old VHS tape my grandmother had. And I was doing reruns at the Dragon Ball. The episode where it introduced Mr. Satan and how Goku was training with his kid, Gohan, and chilling with freaking Krillin. Oh no, Rock tossed his face. That was stupid. That was funny at the same time. That was the good stuff right there. I don't know why I'm talking to my freaking mic like my camera's not here, bro. I should do it like this, bro. Godly, make it make sense to me, you know.
GT's ending wasn't just an ending, it became a memory trigger. Fans clung to their love for Dragon Ball Z and the thrill it brought them as kids or teens, and that emotional attachment became powerful currency. Now we gotta fast forward to 2009. Dragon Ball Z Kai wasn't a new story, it was just a cleaned up and edited version of Dragon Ball Z without the filler. I think Dragon Ball Z Kai is one of the best things to ever happen to Dragon Ball. Kai gave longtime fans a reason to come back and relive the series with a fresh coat of paint while introducing a new generation to Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Z Fighters. It was safe, familiar, and polished. Even though some don't like it as much, it was still a reminder.
I remember that they more likely just take out a lot of the blood for the sake of like, no, kids, you can't let kids see the blood, bro. No, no blood. And this is America, so censorship was definitely needed. Even though there's certain points where it was stupid, like I guess I remember TM losing his arm, but it made it look like, oh, Monopoly hit his arm so bad that his arm disappeared. But even though it was like he just cut his arm, he just cut his arm. That's all it was.
Of how epic the original felt. But even before Kai, the video games played a crucial role as well. The Budokai and Tenkaichi games kept the franchise in the spotlight. And then after Kai, games like Raging Blast 1 and 2 only added on to that. Even the early...
Blast 2 is the only game I'll never give away. I'll never give it away. That was my... It was a new direction of like, after Tenkaichi. It was Raging Blast. And I was low-key waiting for Raging Blast 3, but it never came. But Raging Blast 2, amazing. Good stuff. And I'm like, yo, this is the height of the Tenkaichi series. And then we had, like, other games that came after that. You know, was it Storm or whatever? I forgot what it was. I think it was Ultimate Tenkaichi. Yeah. There was other stuff, I think. I don't remember. First, my memory is Xenoverse. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that was like the mobile game. No, that gotcha game from Dragon Ball. Burst Limit, whatever. I forgot. I think it was Burst Limit, whatever. I don't remember. I think it was Burst Limit. Then it was like Ultimate Tenkaichi. That was like, I forgot what it was. It's like something. I forgot. But after that, we came to the modern year, the PS4 with Xenoverse 1 and 2, and after that, here we are today. Sparking Zero. We're there. And I don't see Dragon Ball dying anytime soon, bro. It's a big money maker. Unless Shueisha have any other money makers besides One Piece, Dragon Ball is that thing. They're not letting it go. Even after Toriyama's end of his life. They're not letting go of Dragon Ball. It's a major money maker for Shueisha, bro. They're not letting go of this. There's no way.
Internet, forums like Kanzenshu, AMVs on YouTube, fan dubs all thrived during the down years. People were constantly talking about Goku vs. Superman and dreaming of what a Dragon Ball Z continuation could look like. I said earlier that nostalgia was Dragon Ball's ride or die, but really, Dragon Ball had become nostalgia. Dragon Ball didn't need new content to stay relevant because nostalgia was the content. Every remaster, re-release, and video game leaned on what fans remembered and loved, and that emotion...
Let's be honest. How many times you see your favorite YouTuber be chilling on their bed watching another video like this with y'all? Not many people, right? I'm gonna do this more. Unless you say anything otherwise, I'm gonna keep on doing it like this. I don't care.
Emotional connection made the franchise feel timeless. No, it was timeless. And during those years, Dragon Ball had built up so much nostalgic goodwill that people were ready to follow it anywhere. And that's exactly what they did. March 29th, 2013. That's the last day of the down years. Because on March 30th, Akira Toriyama would bring the Dragon Ball story back to center stage with Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. And this was one of my favorite moments ever. No amount of words can describe exactly how I felt when I learned about this movie. No amount of words can describe the anticipation. What did this mean? Would it be the same characters? When will it be taking place? Where will it be taking place? Thoughts like these swirled in my brain as a child, and upon watching the movie for the first time, it didn't take long for me to come to the following conclusion. Battle of Gods is the best Dragon Ball movie ever. As a kid who grew up watching the original 13 Dragon Ball Z movies on repeat, those films were my bread and butter. I knew every punch, transformation, and monologue like the back of my hand. So when Battle of Gods was announced, it felt surreal. After years of rightfully thinking Dragon Ball was finished, suddenly there was something new. I remember finally getting a chance to watch it and being completely floored. The tone felt familiar yet fresh. The pacing, the humor, the character moments, it was Dragon Ball in its
Okay, when I look at it like this, consider the fact that even when this thing came out, it's not like, oh, this is like the first anime that came back. We had an anime that came way before this. Two of them, really, if you want to consider. The one with Trouble, Vegeta's little brother, and the other one with the crossover of Toriko, One Piece, Dragon Ball. That was the one right there. When we had other stuff as well as another game. I forgot what it was. I think it was like a 3-4, 4-4, whatever. I forgot. It was a game. I think it was called Battle of Gods too. I forgot what it was. Battle of Gods, like Dragon Ball Battle of Gods. That game, the same time as Battle of Gods, like probably around that spectrum, right next to each other. But I remember that game was like not being the it factor. So it was like waste of bread, waste of money. And bro, after so much things that happened over the years, I can't believe myself. Like, yo, we still getting Dragon Ball content. Have you guys peeped the fact that we're getting that new Galactic Patrol arc coming in? That was something that people wanted to see, but it's way too late. Honestly, it's way too late because they took way too long to do that. Way too long. You know, I'm not even sure we're gonna get the Granola arc too. Granola, who Granola? Read the manga. I'm telling you right now, it does nothing for the series, but reset the status quo. What did I mean? Read the Dragon Ball Super manga. You understand?
purest form, but with a new sense of purpose. From a storytelling and animation standpoint, it went way beyond what I expected. Most of the old Dragon Ball Z movies were fun, but they were stories that left a lot to be desired. They were self-contained, flashy showcases of power with minimal narrative weight. But Battle of Gods broke that mold. The introduction of Beerus and Whis didn't just bring new characters, it brought an entirely new scale to the universe. And then there was Super Saiyan God. That form wasn't just a power-up, it was a statement. It told us the rules were changing. The Dragon Ball world was now bigger and more strange than we once thought. It was the most impactful expansion of...
It didn't, okay, this is where I could disagree with him. It didn't change no rules, besides adding adding more things that we already knew existed. The fact of gods, other worlds, hell, that all the places exist. That had to be more. This is it. But it didn't add no new rules. Not necessarily. Not the way he described it. I think we would add like God Key and all that stuff. You just develop the fact that, hey, certain people can go beyond to where beyond their station, but beyond what they're born with. Apparently, the God title of God of Destruction with Beerus is not just him just being born as a god. It's just him getting a title. I don't know what kind of race of species Beerus is right here. I never knew what species he was, but he able to gain God Key trained by Whis himself. So the one who's following this dude is above God Destruction. They're just watching them, you know. They're acting as their supervisor, you know, because the big guy, the one who like look over all the verses at itself is actually a little kid. It's funny that way.
Lord, since Raditz dropped a bombshell about Goku being an alien, and it lit my imagination on fire all over again. Yet as much as I love the movie itself, and I really do love everything that it brought to the table, the biggest thing Battle of Gods gave me was hope. Hope that Dragon Ball wasn't over. that this universe, which had been such a big part of my childhood, still had more stories to tell. Seeing that movie was like watching a door creak open after being shut for years, and on the other side was the promise of a brand new era. It seemed like Battle of Gods would make all of the down years worth it. And sure enough, on April 28th, 2015, Dragon Ball Super was announced. And as happy as I was that day, I truly believe it set in motion the decline of this legendary franchise. Dragon Ball Super started off rough.
Wait, so this man just jumped dead into this freaking anime, but immediately skips Revival F? Really? Bro. I wonder why he did that. Because Revival F, love it or hate it, was like another genre defining, not genre defining, not stupid. It just sets a precedent of like Dragon Ball never changed because the writing was still mediocre at best. Mediocre at, no, bad at worst, mediocre at best. But people can make an argument like the writing was always bad. Because Naruto wasn't that good at crafting the story to make it more cohesive that way. Because he always want to have fun moments. Even though it wouldn't make no sense prior to what he set up in the first place. So, if you set up God to be like the biggest power achievement of all time, and you just go into Super Saiyan Blue to be something ascendant version right off the gate, but you just immediately lowball it, nerf it. Not I don't want to say nerf, disrespect it really, to the point that somebody who had no business fighting with any God key characters can just shoot you in the back because you didn't see that coming. And I think to myself, bro, no one did a second rewrite. No one did a proofread this. No one thought, hey, does that make sense to the overall premise that we made with being God Key be the biggest deal of all time? Because we have Vegeta getting that God Key power after the fact. And it didn't prove to be anything worthwhile. Because what happens? Frieza, the guy that we'll find this whole time, he blew up the Earth. Vegeta dies in space because he can't breathe in space. This is my issue. Like, there's certain people who can breathe in space, and certain people who can't breathe in space. And it's like, can you just let these people breathe in space? If not, then stay in the atmosphere. What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here, bro? Certain people can breathe in space. Certain beings breathe in space. But freaking people like Saiyans can't do it. It's weird, bro. It's freaking weird. Dude. And I'm like, I don't even know what the point of that movie, bro. I don't. What was the point of that movie? I feel like they did too many things all at once, trying to make it epic, and all end up being like a big bunch of diarrhea splatter on the floor. Yeah, the movie is garbage. I don't care what no one says.
There's no two ways around it. I think one of the biggest mistakes that anyone has ever made regarding the Dragon Ball franchise is how the beginning of Dragon Ball Super was handled. How something starts is just as, if not even more important than how it finishes. And to this day, I cannot understand why in the world the show directors decided to retell the Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F stories. Battle of Gods is a great movie. If I wanted to see it again, I'd just watch the movie, which is a shorter and better overall experience. Resurrection of F isn't a movie that I'd ever wish to rewatch, but if I did, I'd prefer to watch the shorter version of it. Now there's an argument that these movies were retold to give newer fans and those who didn't see the movies a chance to experience them, but to me, that's not a good reason. We went without Dragon Ball for nearly 20 years. Almost every Dragon Ball fan, and even those who weren't Dragon Ball fans, knew about those two movies and how they introduced new ideas to the franchise. Because looking back at it now, those two arcs do more than just start the series off on a bad foot. These arcs became the shaky foundation that Dragon Ball Super had to stand on. For a franchise returning after nearly 2 decades, fans were hungry for new lore, new adventures, and a bold new direction. Instead, we were given extended versions of stories we had already seen, and the excitement of seeing Dragon Ball return quickly turned into confusion and, for some, disappointment. It felt like the show was stalling before it had even truly begun. And this was critical because
I mean, was there like an interview out there saying, "Hey, why they did this thing right here"? We don't need a recap. Maybe it's a Japanese thing. That we just gotta give recaps to like what was there before, even though you could have easily just promoted the DVDs or promoted like a live streaming service. Like, hey, if you guys wanna be into Dragon Ball Super, you guys gotta be ready for the rerun with Dragon Ball Revival of F and Gods, so you guys can keep catch up what's going on in the story. Could have done that. The movie was fine as it is. It's add too much unnecessary crap for no reason. If I was the director, I would never have done that. Like, I don't know what the director was thinking. That was so stupid, so dumb and stupid.
Dragon Ball Super had the chance to immediately expand the scope of the Dragon Ball universe. Battle of Gods teased us with the ideas of gods of destruction, other universes, and a divine hierarchy that could have opened countless narrative doors. But instead of jumping into that, Super chose to repackage old content, which caused early momentum to kind of fizzle out. The resurrection of F-Arc only made it worse. It's a story that, while cool as a movie spectacle, it lacked any emotional or narrative weight and came with a villain whose return didn't bring anything new. These decisions made me question whether Super was here to build on the legacy of Z or simply capitalize on nostalgia. So by the time the Universe 6 tournament began, the damage was already done. And while that arc introduced new characters and interesting ideas, it didn't land with the same kind of impact it could have had if the series had kicked off with it. It's not that the tournament itself was bad. In fact, it had solid fights and world building. But because it followed two sagas that dragged.
By solid fights, he talking about Vegeta versus Magetta, which is a dope fight. Hit versus Goku. Personally, that was a solid fight. Piccolo versus Faust. It was pretty mid. Botamo, the big bear, Teddy Bear versus Goku was like, okay, he can't be damaged, but you can knock him out in the ring. Let's bring back the old nostalgia right there. Look, the Tenkaichi tournaments in Dragon Ball itself, back in the day. So it's like, this nostalgia stuff is like, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, especially with Hit, bro. For some reason, the strongest characters in any version of Dragon Ball happen to have like no ears. It just had big holes on both sides, and they're bald. It's kind of crazy. That goes for like Frieza after Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu. Not even Beerus. Uh, yeah, Hit. Then even Jiren. You see the pattern here? When you just see the pattern, it's so hard to unsee it. Yeah, not even Moro.
The energy down, fans weren't nearly as invested as they could have been. The initial excitement that came with the return of a beloved franchise had already been diluted, and Super had to work twice as hard to earn back the respect of its audience. And although it was a tall task, that's exactly what Super did. Dragon Ball Super is a rare example of a series that managed to reinvent itself mid-run. After a rocky start that didn't carry much emotional weight, expectations were understandably low. The early sagas lacked tension, narrative depth, and the kind of world building fans had hoped for in a sequel series. But then, something shifted. When I saw this for the first time, and then I saw this, it was evident that the tone was getting darker. The storytelling had sharpened, and suddenly, Super began to feel like it had found its purpose. The Zero Mortals plan and the Tournament of Power didn't just improve the show.
You show Goku being. It's not even a dark version of himself. It's just a dude possessing his body. Some point in time with another timeline to go to this timeline to at the Zero Mortal plan. But that time, most of humanity got destroyed by the angels. So it makes no sense of him, this Jamasu being here. You know? It's dumb. I never. That's like the worst part of it.
It transformed it. These arcs were bold, high stakes, and creatively ambitious. The Zamasu and
There's no high stakes. It's most of the world is dead. You saving a dead world. Okay. Everybody who's alive got annihilated, destroyed. So at the end of that freaking arc, my Trunks and his girl went to another world who also have versions of themselves in that world. So it's like, how you supposed to live? You know what I'm saying? I wonder if we can ever get an arc where we just retouch back with Trunks, how he's doing. Does he have a son? Do he have kids? Did they ever get together fully, for real? You know what I'm saying? Because, come on, come on. I don't like that art that much. Looking back at it.
Goku Black storyline brought a philosophical depth and genuine menace that hadn't been seen since the Best of Z, while the Tournament of Power showcased the vastness of the multiverse in a way that made the Dragon Ball world feel bigger than ever. These arcs embraced the core potential of Super, to explore the unknown corners of the multiverse, raise.
So, should Dragon Ball should have been like a multiverse story off the gate? I mean, kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of. I think with the tournament of start with a tournament and with a tournament. That's what Super was, bro. A tournament type of story. We have the tournament 6, then we had the Black Arc, then you had the Ultimate Tournament thing. Like 3 major arcs. Only 2 of them were tournaments. But the Black Arc is like could easily be considered as filler. Cause by then, you're literally just finding everybody's there to fight for their lives, right? Everybody there to fight for their lives. Cause Gold was like a thing with all tournaments gotta fight each other. It was all like really, really important arcs that established stories. It was both the tournament 6 arc and the survival arc. Crazy, right? That's insane.
The stakes without relying solely on brute strength and give each character, from major players to minor fan favorites, a role to shine. We can argue about execution in these arcs all day, but these arcs captured the essence of what Super should have always been striving towards. And so it seemed that with a newfound direction, the anime could only go up from there.
This bro thought that having this series be a multiverse fight fest was like the way. I could be wrong, but he's not expressing himself right the way he think he is. Me personally, this is crazy. A multiversal slugfest, bro? Really? Nah, bro, you bugging.
There. And yet, just as Dragon Ball Super hit its stride, it was over. After waiting nearly 2 decades for the franchise to return, fans were given 3 short years and 131 episodes before the anime came to an abrupt halt. Again, it's frustrating because we finally saw the potential of Super realized, only to have the momentum cut short.
No, did we? Did we really? Did we really? Because after this thing ended, after Jiren, after the arc, Broly pulls up as a reimagined version of himself prior to like Z. So when I saw the potential of Broly, I was thinking to myself, we could get more reimagined versions of characters from the movies into Super if he really want to categorize more of like characters from the Z movies and just reimagine this as new canon of Dragon Ball. This new canon of Dragon Ball. Yeah, I'm saying what it is. That and superheroes, superheroes. Whoa, superheroes. And like, was it always that way? I think that was probably the thing right there, superheroes. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, dude. It what it is. It is what it is. But you can't say that was the potential. That was the thing. And having Dragon Ball be like a rekindling of nostalgia with adding new stuff regarding superheroes. I'm like, if that's the case, one or two things. One, Toriyama loves superheroes so much that he want to incorporate it in Dragon Ball. Like since Boo, the whole straight Sandman stuff that was good. I Loki that was pretty funny stuff. I liked it, and just make it an own series easy. You could have made that no problem. But It was already like that. To me, Dragon Ball was already like a weird take on like the Sentai stuff, like the standalone, everyday man fighting for so not fighting to protect the world or that. It was like that. It was like an action adventure stuff. Like looking for Dragon Balls, get some wishes, or you find your opposition along the way. And after a while, it came like tournament stuff here and there, fighting against some dudes, bad guys, and then we get into like the era of like Z, you know, and so on and so forth. It was like that Sentai stuff, and only Goku can do the dub and blah blah blah, whatever that means. But sometimes Goku wasn't always getting dubbed like that. Nah. So if you ever thought about who got the more dubs in their own souls, and I can guarantee to you right now, Goku was not getting that much dubs at all. Like the last great, well earned, deserved dub he ever got was against Piccolo. Yes, in Dragon Ball. In Dragon Ball, look it up. Look at the fight between Goku and Piccolo Jr. and the last of Tenkaichi tournaments. That like the last fight of Dragon Ball right there. And tell me that was not the greatest of Goku right there, bro. Tell me that. Come on now.
The foundation had finally been built, but there wasn't enough time to build on it. Thankfully, the franchise didn't come to a complete standstill. We got 2 new movies that I think are both good at the very least, and the manga continued forward, giving us new characters and stories that varied in quality, but still expanded the world of Dragon Ball. I do think we started to go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, but it all falls short. Moral falls short because it became Cell 2.0. He was a nothing burger until his big brother say, "Yo, wish my brother be strong." And this guy right here, looking back at it, I don't understand the point of his character besides rehashing the history of the Saiyans and how bad they were, and how the minimal effect of like Goku Vegeta to show how good of people they are compared to them old ancestry, and the point of heat, which is weird, and the, in implementing Bardock in the mix, Bardock's bro, come on, that's insane. I should have reviewed that part too, but it's like, dude, I was done with the manga, bro, at that point, bro. And when I heard Black Frieza, bro, just this right there was the whole like return to form type of thing you're doing with whole Dragon Ball. Because when Time Frieza was like revealed to be the big bad, ruler of the universe and all that, he was like known to be the strongest in the universe at that time. Prior, no one, not even Toriyama, thought about Dragon Ball extending after that. Because the Frieza saga was to be the end of Dragon Ball as we know it. Multiple times, I'm hearing stories of Toriyama should have ended here in Dragon Ball. Should have ended here with Frieza, Cell, Boo. Even like, it's crazy, dude. Like you could tell Toriyama was satisfied with the Frieza arc. That's supposed to be the last of all of that. But nah, more money, bro, more money. So the whole Black Frieza stuff just returning to form. The big bad, Loki Frieza again. It what it is.
From Moro to Granola to Gas, the antagonists were diminishing and we started seeing movie retellings again. And this downslide only reminded me more of the feeling that Super still had more to give and we only got to experience the best of it in flashes. And so for about a year now, we've been in another down period and we all know why. Dragon Ball Daima was a surprise and I'm grateful, yet I think you all know how I feel about it. If you don't, check out my last video. But since finishing Dragon Ball Daima, I haven't been able to shake the feeling that maybe this really needs to be the end. And not just in the let's take another break and come back later kind of way, I mean truly, definitively, let it rest. Let the franchise stand as the pillar of fiction it already is without constantly trying to reinvent itself just to stay in circulation. We've had our return, we've seen new stories, new forms, and new characters, but somewhere along the way, it started to feel like I was continuing out of love for what I've already seen rather than excitement for what's to come. And as much as it hurts to say it, that might be a sign that we've reached the natural endpoint. I don't enjoy nitpicking this franchise, I really don't. I grew up with Dragon Ball. I lived through the DVDs, the reruns, the movies, the school debates. I can talk for hours, literally hours, about why Goku's first Super Saiyan transformation is still one of the most powerful moments in anime history.
Whoa, 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 whoa! No, what do you mean powerful moment? Hype moment. I could say that. Powerful. Stop it. Stop it. When you talking about a series where you can just revive the dead back to life with a bunch of balls, bro, that's that moment. It just within that moment in isolation. But if it was truly the fact that we just taking people out permanently, okay, then I might suggest that. But then again, after what happened with Super Saiyan, the concept of it after the fact till now, wasted, wasted away. It aged like milk. This right here, low key aged like milk, bro. I don't want to tell you. Powerful moment, please stop it. I disagree.
But at some point, we have to stop and ask ourselves, are we praising Dragon Ball for what it is today, or are we clinging to what it used to be? The last 10 years have had its moments. Battle of Gods, the Tournament of Power, Broly, but those moments have been surrounded by uneven storytelling, recycled ideas, and a growing disconnect between the franchise's legacy and its current identity. I don't think it's wrong to want more from something you love, but I also think there's value in recognizing when a story has said everything it needs to say. And if we're being honest, there's a portion of the Dragon Ball community that understandably just doesn't want to move on. And who can blame them? For a lot of people, including myself, Dragon Ball isn't just a show, it's comfort, it's childhood, it's something familiar in a world that's constantly changing. But that longing to hold on to the past can sometimes get in the way of growth for the story. If the only reason we're asking for more Dragon,
I don't think it has something to hold on to the past less more than wanting new content for a series that's been on a run forever. Think about it like this: if you compare Dragon Ball to Pokemon, give that same energy, bro. Give that same energy, bro. It's like, yo, Generation 10, are you serious? We still doing Pokemon stuff? Can we just move on? Same thing for Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh still getting sold out a lot. The tournament's still going out a lot. Money is put into that, as well as Pokemon. What other card type of game going on? You know, as long as money's still going in, the longer money keep on coming, they're gonna keep on producing content. Same thing with Dragon Ball. As long as we keep on giving up some merch, giving up the games, bro, giving more content for the Super Manga potentially. I don't know. Kind of weird right now what I see in it. The money could keep on flowing and going and going and going. The series could keep on going and going and going. If something is still making you money, why would you ever put it down? Ask yourself that. Why would you ever put a content material like Dragon Ball down if it could still make you money? Ask yourself that. If you are someone who want to be a creator, you know, in a way that you want to create your own content to give it out to the world, and that makes a lot of money, and still making money like what 2, 3, 5 years from now, why would you ever put it down? Even though you will say, "Oh, did I said what I said?" Make more stuff anyway. Expand on other characters' stuff. Do you really answer the questions that everybody's thinking? Like the storylines that everybody had? Your side character is still there. They're present. You can expand story on that. Make some sagas out of that. Come on now. Even though you answer the main story for your main character, should you really end the series right then and there? If so, that's fine. No problem. But if you want to keep on going, bring in new characters. Establish them. Branch more story out from other side characters. There's no excuse besides I just don't want to do it. Or I'm not that creative enough to do that. Just say I said what I said, not enough to people. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. So that's the main reason why Dragon Ball is being talked about to this day, and content still being produced to this day. If Dragon Ball was truly dead, do you think Bandai Namco will still produce Dragon Ball games to this day annually as much as 2K, Madden NFL? Come on, dude. Call of Duty? Call of Duty? Come on, dude. Come on, dude. You know this. You should know this.
Ball is because we missed those times when we were younger, then maybe it's time to step back and let nostalgia do what it's always done best.
Make
If
your
the last
money.
decade has shown us anything, it's that continuing Dragon Ball endlessly doesn't necessarily protect its legacy, it exposes it. It invites criticism, it invites fatigue, and it
Yeah.
raises the risk of turning something timeless into something tiresome. For 20 years, nostalgia was Dragon Ball's greatest ally. It kept the series alive in the hearts of fans across generations without needing new content to validate its greatness. Maybe it's time to go back to that, to let the franchise rest, stand proudly on what it's already achieved, and be remembered for what it was at its best. To me, that's not giving up, that's honoring the legacy.
What would Dragon Ball to you? I don't think you ever explained that. It just make you feel good. I mean, what that even mean? Yeah, that's it, bro. Honestly, that's great. Let me read the comments, bro. Someone was born in 1987. Hearing I was born well after 1997. They made my knees. The back hurt. Okay. You know what? At least Dragon Ball Super isn't like Boruto. We're doing comparisons now. Grateful that it pushed the franchise further to mainstream. Although it has some lacking arcs, Goku Black and Toby was great. No, they weren't. Better than that, they were like, at I think the type of arc Goku Black was, I'll give it like a 4 out of 10. That was bad. Torment Power is a 5-ish, but it can look at the downside. Say 3, because certain rules were being broken and allowed for fun, which is like, oh, I don't know, something. Like it's a shame that after that, Dragon Ball has turned into a brand rather than. It always was a brand. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It was always a brand. What are you talking about? Turned to a brand. It was already a brand. You were getting almost all new Dragon Ball games every year. What are you talking about? See, that's the reason I just can't trust people, bro. They don't know what the hell they saying. The current manga needs to be completed. It can rest then. It been rested. If you want to keep the the original take of like Toriyama ending things with Oob kicking Goku's ass and Goku decide to like train Oob to be a good warrior. If you want to take that ending of Z to take that in account of that, I'm cool with that. The video almost made me cry. Part of me has always felt like Dragon Ball never really came back. Mm-hmm. Toriyama gave me the impression of continuing the story out of being constantly asked to rather than doing it because he legitimately felt like he wanted it to return. He didn't want. He was done with Dragon Ball. After the Buu saga, he was done. He was done. Hence why you see so much reruns of Dragon Ball on TV and reruns of games, new games, with the same old story. You can put it all some what if stories, alternatives to the set stories, but bro, bro. I'm telling you right now. I'm be real with me. All right, I'm telling you right now. It was obvious that Torium was done. Everything else was just remake, reimagining, recycle stuff. That's the thing. Yeah, he probably was right in feeling that way. Maybe it should have never come back. What do you mean never come? It was always there, dude. It was already there. The fact that we're making more, making merch, still having games. People not tired of Dragon Ball, bro. Because as long as fans want it, if the long the demand is there, the supply will always gonna be delivered. Point blank, period. That's business 101. You get the business side of content, materials everywhere, wherever you go. Period. As much as I love Yu Yu Hakusho, no one asked for that thing to be a like being out here like that. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. It's that simple. Okay, that's one. Honestly, without Toriyama, the Satisfied will ever be the same. I'm not saying everything he did was perfect. He was never the. Oh my gosh, you guys saw him being disrespectful, but I don't think he was that good as a writer. He made fun stuff, funny stuff, but like a captivating writer, hell no. He was not that kind of guy. He was not that guy. Trust me. You see his earlier work, he was not that guy. What made the franchise so special? What made it so special, bro? I want to ask someone, ask me the question. What makes Dragon Ball special to you? Okay, if I go either way because I want to see should come to an end, but I also don't want it to continue longer than the franchise was meant to. I think if it does continue, they need to be careful about how they adapt it. But if they stop here, adapt what? The manga? Bro, come on, now. But if they stop here, they probably because Toei Animation really likes money. I will be satisfied. Okay, you know this, but you're gonna complain about. Okay, whatever, bro. I said what I said. I said what I said, and I can't think of anything else to say besides what I said earlier. So when the demand of people, outweighs, you know, I don't know, not outweighs it, but brings in more of the attention of the series. The supplies will flow in every time, and the money will build up. And like I said before in this video, why will you ever end your series when it's making you money? It's like saying, "Hey, GTA 4 was a good series, probably one of the best in the series. We could have ended here, but the money rolling in. I'm like, yo, I meant GTA 5, bro, and that game was kind of good. Okay, we ended here. No, GTA 6. But wait a minute. We're not ready for GTA 6. After all we did with GTA 5, we gotta take a break. All right. GTA Online, let's get it. Yeah. Let the money flow. For 13 years or something like that. Like a decade plus. And then we get GTA 6 as a trailer drop. Barely any gameplay going on. Just cutscene of the cutscene of the cutscene. And this game supposed to come out like what, sometime next year or something like that? I forgot. I doubt coming in like at the very end of this year. I doubt it. I doubt it so much. Like, well, why would we end it here, bro? Let it make you money. Okay, so what a comparison. One Piece, right? I guarantee you, after One Piece truly ends, like give it like the next decade or so, maybe 5 years, possibly, maybe, or maybe I'll give it a decade, at least a decade. Um, Even after it ends, it's gonna be a new Dragon Ball. If people get tired of Dragon Ball, Dra- Dragon Ball, One Piece will be the new Dragon Ball, the cash cow, their new golden goose. They'll never let go of One Piece. Cause One Piece has endless amount of material to work with. You have no excuse, none, no excuse at all. As long as you have good creative team behind you, of knowing what to do with the series, you be in good hands, and the money will roll in. The money will roll in, no matter what. So I understand this video, what I'm trying to say, but there's certain aspects of it that I didn't agree with, didn't mess with whatsoever. So if y'all new to this type of new to this channel overall, be sure to like, comment, subscribe right here. And you want me to do more of this in this kind of style, please say your piece. And that's pretty much that's pretty much it. I need more notes. Damn. Oh, I'll be out. So y'all be safe, be easy, and be chilled. Crazy, bro. Crazy.